Man up. Suck it up. Don't be a wuss. Boys don't cry. What else have you heard from society about why men should not express their vulnerability or emotion? It's full of them. They're out there all over the place. And in this video, I will address the reasons why men avoid being vulnerable, the consequences that are a result of that, why men should embrace their vulnerability, how to do that, and the benefits that men can expect as a result of that. So men, this is a video you need to watch. Ladies, if you know a man in your life that could use a little more vulnerability and kind of understanding of this concept, share and send this video to them. So my name is Cary, and welcome to my YouTube channel where we talk about all things mindset, motivation, and manifesting, and then how to apply that to your life to become the best version of you. And you watching this video today is confirmation that you'll be celebrating something soon in your life. Maybe expected, maybe a little unexpected, but know that it's on its way to you. And I'm excited for you for that. I want to start off with a quote today by Paulo Coelho. A man is at his strongest when he is willing to accept his vulnerability. Truly, ain't that what it's all about? And so there are many reasons in this world why men avoid being vulnerable from, and we'll touch on those today, but this entire video comes from different points in my life where I wanted to be vulnerable, but was scared for whatever reason. Now, whether this was in junior high, going to ask that girl out, or even, in so many different times and chapters of my life. But even the biggest one that jumps out for me is when I went through separation and divorce and was just searching for connection and someone to talk to and to understand, and someone that understood where I was and to share those feelings and get insight and direction from someone, but didn't, for all of the reasons that we're about to talk about today. So why do men avoid being vulnerable? Well, and I have notes down here if you're wondering where I keep looking. So a few of those, the big ones are fear of feeling embarrassed, fear of shame, fear of rejection. I mean, they see it as a threat to their masculinity. We're told that, it's weakness. Vulnerability is weakness. Society has taught men that. It is bred into us from way back when, from, the old movies of John Wayne and all that. No, I love the Duke, by the way, but it's one of those narratives that's always been there. And I mean, and an example as to where this impacts guys. I mean, and I talk to men all the time, and it shows up, and there's so many little examples like that. Why do not, and this is something that ladies you can share with a guy that that could use this. And men, if you think that this doesn't apply to you, share it with a lady in your life, or whether it's family member or partner, whatever, and you'll be surprised. But men do not share their emotions, their feelings, right? And it's because of that embarrassment, fear, rejection. Because if I share how I really feel or who I am, what is their reaction going to be? Are they going to think I'm weak? Are they going to, reject me, maybe break up with me, move on? Are they going to share what I shared with other people, and then other people are going to judge me and make fun of me? I mean, all of those things play a role in this conversation. And so there's tons, and I mean, and where that impacts our lives. Here's an example. So let's say in a relationship, right? Male-female dynamic. That's what I'm, that I've experienced it, and that's kind of where I specialize is moving into that. But I mean, so let's say a guy is not happy with in his relationship. We'll say the physical element in his relationship. Right? And so whether that's frequency, whether, I want to kind of try some new things, maybe there's things that we're doing that I don't want to do, like whatever that is. But he doesn't share that with his partner. Why? Well, for all those reasons that I just said, right? Has a conversation or brings it up in a topic casually. So many times men do not address things directly and say, hey, you know what? I'd like to have a conversation. Instead, they bring up these, beat around the bush statements, passive aggressive, comments here and there, that does not get results, right? So, and anyways, and there's a whole another tangent of conversation I could go off on that, where that's actually more unattractive than if you just actually stepped up and shared what you were feeling with your partner. But so coming back to, but they, they don't share those things. They beat around the bush. And so instead of actually having that conversation, so as a result of not sharing that, the conversation doesn't happen. So there's still that feeling inside of that they, as a man, they wanted something different. They wanted a change, and they're not getting it. And they feel that they can't express themselves to accomplish that change or move towards that progress. And as a result of that, they end up resenting their partner. And their partner, is the person they're with is like, why doesn't my man open up to me? Why doesn't he share? And it's this never-ending downward spiral of doom that nukes relationships. So that's one of the big things is why men are not vulnerable, because of those things. So in this video, we're going to share men ways that you can be more vulnerable and express that, and for other people, for men and women, for the men in your life, right? Whether it's a brother, a parent, a son, a friend, partner, whatever that is, but you can hold that space for the men in your life to be vulnerable. So there's the examples, and one of the reasons, some of the reasons why men don't open up, and I mean, and so many times, and it's different with everybody I talk to, but so many men share a sentiment or kind of the vibe of this. They're like, well, I definitely hold back, but I share just enough so that my partner thinks I'm being vulnerable, or the person that I'm having a conversation with thinks I'm being vulnerable, but not everything. And the reason for that is because if I totally was truthful about how I feel right now, the fear that I have for whatever reason, the hurt that I'm experiencing, or just the fact how out of control that I feel, or I feel that life is right now, that those people would judge me and reject me and abandon me and just poof, be gone. And I'm telling you, if that statement right there resonated with you, then this video is for you. And that is a reason why you need to embrace vulnerability. And not from a point of victimhood. Being a victim never helps. It never serves you. But from a point of, okay, here's how I feel. I don't want to stay here. What do I need to do to grow, to be better, to transition through this, to get the result that I'm looking for? What do I need to do? And that's what this is about. All right. So those are some of the reasons why men avoid vulnerability. So what are some of the consequences? I mean, there's definitely obvious ones. We'll state a few obvious ones. There's definitely more. If you have other ones in the comments, if you have more reasons why men avoid being vulnerable, please share those in the comments. I mean, the more we can get this conversation out there and make it normalize the fact that this is something that needs to be addressed, the more progress we can make towards this topic and this entire theme. All right. So consequences of men avoiding vulnerability and being, emotional and expressing their emotions. Well, depression, anxiety, trauma, isolation, which can lead to loss in our lives, like loss of jobs, loss of relationships, loss of friendships, and ultimately suicide, right? And that is part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this topic, because been there, got the t-shirt, and still to this day have moments where I go back. Healing is not linear, right? I still have my moments. We're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect, but you do need to be better. And speaking about this stuff is where that healing actually helps and grows and evolves and takes place. Right, and those of you that don't know my story, that I've shared it in other videos, but there was a place in my life and going through separation and divorce after certain discoveries and things like that in my relationship, where I was 10 minutes from committing suicide, driving my truck into a bridge, off a bridge, into a wall, whatever. And you can go back and watch those videos as to what that story was all about, but. For that moment that I just said, no, it's not happening today. That's not how I'm going out. And my encouragement to you in embracing your vulnerability is that if those moments ever come up in your life, to share with someone, reach out. You're not on your own. Okay, so and the CDC and this is a Googled stat. I mean, I can go and get references for you and everything else, but I Googled suicide rates and just the most recent suicide stats and rates. And the CDC, it says the CDC's provisional data for 2022 shows a record number of suicides in 2022. And it was almost like 50,000. And I don't know what area that was in again, but I mean, just the fact that there was a decline in 2020 and 2021, and it is increasing again because people aren't having those conversations. And for men aren't having those conversations. And that's what I want to stop. So men, what do we need to do? How to be more vulnerable, right? How to be more vulnerable. And so what that is the things that we can do are you can, in embracing that, not being afraid to show emotion and what that's all about. You can hug people you care about. When's the last time you hugged someone? Legit, right? Is it all handshakes? Is it all proper? You know, and I mean, I'm a hugger. If you have met me in person, I have probably hugged you. That's what that's about, because that's me. And so often touch, it touches a form of vulnerability. You are getting close to someone. Right now, let's okay. Disclaimer, don't go hug every single person you see, right? You need to be able to read the signs. Someone you know, having a conversation with, I get it, right? But, you know, okay. Anyways, I'm going to leave it at that. All right, so hugging, right? Being physical. And how about saying I love you to people that you love? To your partner? When's the last time you said it to your partner? When's the last time you said to your friends? Guys, when's the last time you said I love you to one of your friends? Parents, fathers out there, when's the last time you said I love you to your kids? It is so important. You cannot say I love you enough to your kids. Like multiple times a day. I never leave my kids without saying I love you. And I hope one day when they watch this that they'll be like, you know what, that's legit. I'm thinking back, Dad is right. Every single time I left my dad, whatever we were doing, even if it was for, you know, a couple hours to do this or that, he said I love you. Because that's important. They need to hear that, right? And hugs and everything like that is especially, and I mean, and father's another thing, right? Is if you're not vulnerable and you don't have that vulnerability with your kids, especially fathers with daughters, man, it's so important. If you don't give your daughter that physical, you know, connection and attention that, and there's so much psychology behind this, and I'm not going to get into it in this video, but if you don't give that to them, they will look for that somewhere else. I remember a relationship and speaking with someone, and they said, the woman said that my relationship with my dad is awkward. He hugs me once on New Year's and it's weird. No wonder there's daddy issues there. Like, you know, and that comes out in how, you know, you show up in life and everything else, and that starts with you as a man. What are you doing as a man? And when we don't embrace our vulnerability and we shut it down and we conform to the narratives of society, that is the result of that. So, okay, well, I'll get off my little soapbox there. Okay, so something else we can do to be more vulnerable. Find therapeutic hobbies, right? Is exercise, going for walks outside. That's why I'm out in nature. I love being out in nature, right? That helps you. It's you know, it allows you to connect to yourself. Right? And what does being vulnerable mean to you? That's a question you need to ask. How do you want to express that? How is it received? All of those things. It's important to know. That's, you know, being creative, right? Something creative. We're meant to grow, expand, build. So what does that mean to you? Right? Is that reading? Is that, like, you know, building something, like, you know, whether it's an actual project or just building a business or building relationships? Like, what is that to you? But find those things that give you those opportunities to be vulnerable and express yourself, your emotion. It's so important. All right, now, the benefits of being vulnerable. Gentlemen, if you think that being vulnerable is weak, you're wrong. And here are the things that when you step into vulnerability, what you can expect as a result that will dramatically improve so many different areas of your life, okay? So, and again, this is expressing vulnerability and being vulnerable and showing emotion with the intention of growth and improvement. and change, not with the intention of being a victim and staying in the crab bucket where everybody just points fingers and complains and blames. Okay? So, number one, better relationships, right? And no matter where your relationships are, with your friends, with your family, with your girlfriend or wife, with your kids, your relationships will be better when you are willing to be vulnerable. Because that connection, I cannot describe the difference it has made in my relationships. Right? You feel seen and heard. The other people feel like they see and hear you. They feel there's a safety that's there, a connection that I cannot put into words. So that is one. And if you're in a relationship that's maybe a little rocky right now, stepping in your vulnerability will definitely serve and support that, right? Whether it works out or not, you're going to be better as a result of it. So either your partner will step up and improve with you, or there's going to be resistance there. And if that relationship breaks off, you will step in and attract someone who is able to be at the level you're at. I truly believe in saving the man before the relationship. Do I promote divorce and separation and that? Well, I mean, I don't stand on the front corner and say everyone that's married should get divorced, but I think that if you're in a relationship that is dulling your shine and you dread every moment of it, is that how you want to live the rest of your life? Men need to step into their vulnerability and embrace that, and allow them to be empowered with their masculinity and lead, because that's the problem, or one of the challenges with where we're at right now in society is that men aren't embracing their masculinity and teaching our younger generations how to lead, how to be men and what that means. And by being men, I'm not talking about being a dominating, oppressive, rude, all this other stuff, how we started off today, boys don't cry, suck it up, this tough. No, it's not that. But it's not being a victim as well. And it's about that confidence, that leadership that we need. And we need to step into that as men right now to teach our younger generations, which will improve this world moving forward. And that's the world I want my kids to live in. That's the world I want to live in. That's the world you deserve to live in. Okay. All right. So better relationships. Connections with others will improve. You will be able to make more connections and more quality connections with other people when you are willing to be vulnerable. All right. Also, being vulnerable is a massive thing. If you are facing any challenges right now emotionally, that whether it's depression, anxiety, stress, like all of those things, insecurities, being vulnerable will serve and support you in moving through those chapters in your life. So I encourage you to embrace that. And because if you're somewhere where you don't want to be, unless you take action to move forward out of that, you're going to stay there. All right. And the other big one, which, which is great with to share with men, is a higher emotional intelligence level, right? Your awareness of your own emotions and how you feel. And that will lead into the awareness of others. And if you think emotional intelligence isn't a high on the list of attractive things in a male-female dynamic, go ahead and ask a lady in your life. Come back and thank me later. All right. So I want to finish with a quote from Brené Brown, who is like one of the leaders in vulnerability and quite an advocate and has some amazing TED Talks and things like that. But her quote is, "What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful." What makes you vulnerable makes you beautiful. Do not be ashamed of what you feel vulnerable about, right? We talk about Eminem, the 8 Mile in the movie. When he truly owns it is when he steps into it, says everything that is vulnerabilities, insecurities, everything else, and lose yourself and drops the mic. And the world has nothing on him at that point. That is what vulnerability is all about. So if you found value in this video, wait, no, whoops, I missed my most important paragraph with the benefits of being vulnerable is now, so the other element of how men can be more vulnerable, right? And I missed this point coming back to it, is find your tribe. men. Find other men that are willing to be courageous, willing to step into that. And if you don't know where that is, there's a number of different groups and organizations that are out there. Personally, I host a group for men. We meet online. It's called Man to Men. It's the place where you haven't been, that you already belong. We talk about the things that men crave to talk about but don't want to talk about in front of others. The topics that, and here's an example of that. I'm out golfing with a bunch of buddies last week, and we're hanging out, a bunch of guys standing around on the tee box, and someone's like, oh, if you make this shot, I'll and okay, so this isn't to offend anyone, all right? It's guys being guys. But this, the one guy says, oh, if you make this shot, I'll hump your leg, he says, which I think is hilarious. But, and the other guy goes, oh man, I really want to make this shot because that would be the most action I've had in months. So in that statement right there, in that statement, there's truth to that. There's a man that is saying that. It's like, haha, joking, but not joking, right? Does anyone else feel that way? Does anyone else have that same concern, challenge? Am I the only one that feels like that in his relationship? Hoping that someone else in the group says, oh, me too, man, I hear it. But the problem with guys is that when they get that affirmation from someone else, oh man, I hear you. Yeah, I get that. That they think, oh, okay, well, I'm not alone, so it's okay. And they leave it at that. Right? And where that is the moment where being vulnerable and having those conversations can help move that forward. Do you want to stay in that relationship where you're not happy with that, or keep your relationship exactly the same? Or do you want to have the tools and ability to have those conversations to change that? That's what this is all about. And finding men that can connect with that. Men that truly want to see you win. They're on your side. Not because they just want to be a part of the gossip and go talk to their buddies and talk crap about you with everybody else. That's what this is about. So I encourage you. I'll link Man to Men in the notes below. We're starting a new session in a couple of weeks. We're always starting new pods. I'm always starting new groups. So when I get enough guys to start a new pod, we always start it. So if you're interested and that sounds like something that you would benefit from and you could add to, send me a DM. You can go through my website, carykish.com, and I will let you know when the next pod is starting, when the next group is starting. Groups between 4 and 8 guys, and we meet, and I'll tell you, the conversations are incredible that we have in there from the intention of growth and serving each other, right? And so, yeah, and there's so many other groups. Men's League, MENZ League out of Calgary, Alberta is amazing. I'm a part of that. Couple of great guys that started that, Fabian and Derek, props to you guys. But I mean, and what they're doing from, vulnerability and men becoming better men and just all of those things. I mean, it's out there, but men, you need to step into it. You need to embrace it. You need to know that there are positive things that will happen when you step into your vulnerability. So that is my challenge to you today. My plea, if you will, is to take the step, reach out, get connected, have the conversations that you almost like, that you kind of have an idea that you want to have, but you actually don't really know the benefits of having those conversations until you start having them. Your life will change when you step into your vulnerability. Be courageous and make it happen. So if you found value in this video today, I would encourage you to like it, share it with someone you know. If it's if you're, as a man, share it with another man in your life. Share it with your dad, share it with your kids, share it with your friends. Share it with someone, siblings that you think could use this insight and this information. That maybe it's the little nudge they need to reach out for help and step into that empowering place of being vulnerable. If you're a lady watching this, I'm grateful for all of the women that watch this channel. Share it with a man in your life that you think could use this message. Subscribe to the channel and like the video, and sharing gets the message out there. And that is my intention, to serve and support men as we all strive to become better men and best versions of ourselves every single day. So vulnerability is not something that you just address when you hit rock bottom, by the way. I wanted to just kind of leave this point with you. It's not when the shit hits the fan that all of a sudden, oh, now it's time to embrace my vulnerability. No, it's a maintenance thing. It's an ongoing thing. It's like, your vehicle. You don't put gas in your car once it stops on the side of the road. You don't do an oil change when that, in your health and fitness, you don't just sit around and do nothing until all of a sudden there's a medical diagnosis, and then all of a sudden you do stuff. The more you maintain and you are proactive in this role, the better you will be with the, from a place of vulnerability, how that helps your mental health, and when you're in a great place, how that impacts and improves every area of your life. So again, I plead with you to step into your power and be vulnerable. Be vulnerable. All right, men? Good. If you want more information about Man to Men, you can find it on my website, carykish.com, and you can find me on all socials, Instagram, Facebook, at Cary Kish Coaching. You can click on the link in my bio, find information about Man to Men and everything from there as well. So keep the momentum going. I'm grateful for every moment we share together. You can watch this video that's popping up on the screen because it's going to be about mindset, motivation, and manifesting. And as always, until the next video, sending peace, love, and positive vibes your way.